Welcome to The Terrible Take, a daily segment telling Steelers Nation what's on our mind.
Hi, I'm Melanie Friedlander, and welcome to my Terrible Take, coming at you every Sunday courtesy of Steelers Depot. In late-breaking news on Saturday night, Steelers Director of Communications Burt Lawton tweeted that quarterback Ben Roethlisberger was placed on the reserve COVID-19 list and would be out for today's game against the Detroit Lions at Heinz Field. There was no further communication from the team, which wasn't surprising. Teams are not permitted to release COVID test results for players or personnel. Only the players themselves can share that information. Or NFL insiders, of course. We know that Big Ben is fully vaccinated. He has said so in response to questions from the media, most recently on the Dan Patrick Show on November 5th. Based on current NFL policy, the only way a vaccinated player winds up on the reserve COVID list is by testing positive for COVID. And even vaccinated players are tested weekly. This morning, NFL Network's Ian Rappaport tweeted the following. Quote, the backstory. Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger self-reported symptoms to the team, took a test, and was positive for COVID-19, source said. A great example of a player doing the right thing and preventing spread. Tough to self-report, but a strong leadership move overall, unquote. So it seems like a pretty straightforward situation. But there's a lot of confusion surrounding Ben's status and even a few really entertaining conspiracy theories about the team faking a close contact for Ben to give Mason the chance to start. So even though we're all sick of COVID and talking about COVID, I thought I would take a couple of minutes to clarify a few things. As you know, the rules are different for fully vaccinated, partially vaccinated, and unvaccinated players. Since Big Ben is fully vaccinated, we'll focus on the rules that pertain to him. If a vaccinated player remains without symptoms, he can return after having 2 negative PCR tests that are 24 hours apart. If a vaccinated player has symptoms, he must be symptom-free for 48 hours and then have 2 negative PCR tests 24 hours apart in order to return. A combination of a negative PCR and a MESA test also works. If a vaccinated player has symptoms and never gets a negative test, he can return after 10 days, assuming that it's been at least 24 hours since the last fever without medications to reduce the fever, and other symptoms like cough and shortness of breath have improved. All players with moderate symptoms also have to pass a cardiac screen in order to return. This includes an ECG, an echocardiogram, which is an ultrasound of the heart, and a troponin level, which is a blood test. Players with mild or no symptoms do not require a cardiac screen. Big Ben was praised by Rappaport for doing the right thing by reporting his symptoms. He was also following NFL policy, which states that all players must report possible COVID symptoms to the club physician immediately and isolate from teammates. Finally, vaccinated players are never subject to the rules of close contacts. This only applies to players who are not fully vaccinated. Based on the high vaccination rate among Steelers players, it was unlikely that any of them would miss Sunday's game due to the close contact protocols, and so far, none of them have been added to the reserve COVID list for this reason. The NFL posts testing results and vaccination rates on a regular basis. The data for the period of October 17th to 30th was covered in their most recent press release on November 9th. They stated that 19,093 tests were administered to a total of 6,532 players and team personnel. There were 11 new confirmed positive tests among players and 24 new confirmed positives among personnel. The overall incidence of COVID is 0.5% for this testing period. 94.4% of NFL players are vaccinated. Nearly 100% of NFL personnel are vaccinated. 30 of the league's 32 clubs have an overall vaccination rate of 95% or higher. Anyway, I hope that helps clarify things. Here's hoping Ben and his family are well and that he is symptom-free ASAP and can return to practice soon. I'm looking forward to seeing him play in Los Angeles against the Chargers. Thanks for listening to my take, and please follow me on Twitter @GirlSurgeon.
Be sure to follow us at SteelersDepot.com and check out episodes of The Terrible Take every day at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And check out The Terrible Podcast with myself and Alex Kozora every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.